Eleanor had heard about the old mansion on the edge of town for years, but it wasn't until she inherited it from her estranged uncle that she decided to see it for herself. The house stood before her like a gargantuan beast cloaked in shadows, its once grand facade now a testament to neglect and time. Ivy strangled the pillars, and the windows were like hollow eyes, reflecting nothing. Eleanor stepped inside, the creak of the wooden door echoing like a death rattle through the empty halls. The air was thick with the scent of decay and something else, something indefinably sinister. She explored room after room, each one more decrepit than the last, but it wasn't until she reached the attic that she felt it, a presence, cold as the grave. There were stories, of course, about the house being haunted. Whispers among the townsfolk spoke of shadows moving on their own, ghostly figures appearing in the windows, and the sounds of sobbing echoing through the night. Eleanor had always been a skeptic, dismissing the accounts as nothing more than superstition. Until she saw the doll. It sat in a rocking chair, pristine in its dress, its porcelain face marred by a chillingly lifelike set of blue eyes. As she approached, the temperature dropped, her breath misting before her. And then it spoke. No words, just a soft, malevolent whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Eleanor froze, terror rooting her to the spot. The doll's eyes seemed to glow, and for a moment, she saw something behind them, a flicker of movement. She turned to run, but the door slammed shut behind her with a force that shook the house. Desperate, she pounded on the door until her hands bled, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers grew louder, now a cacophony of malevolent voices, each one trying to outdo the other in chilling her to the bone. Eleanor sank to the floor, her courage draining away. And then it was there, right beside her, a shadow so dense it seemed to absorb the feeble light from the attic window. It reached out a hand, skeletal and cold, brushing her cheek with a touch that felt like the end of the world. Eleanor screamed, a primal sound of terror and despair, as the darkness consumed her. The house stood silent once more, a monument to the horrors that lay within, the whispers in the walls continuing their eternal vigil. Days turned into weeks, and Eleanor became another story, another whisper among the townsfolk, who spoke of the haunted house on the edge of town and the souls it claimed. No one would ever see her again, but on still nights, when the wind was just right, her screams could be heard, echoing through the empty halls, a chilling reminder of a fate worse than death.